For the last 6 years, I've been mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, and it hurt my feelings. And I still believed Sam Darnold's got a little bit of Andrew Luck. Tough, relentless, like a linebacker playing quarterback. Coachable. Throws a bad pick, follows it up with a great pass. What you're seeing is the Andrew Luck thing. And they're asking him to make big boy throws. He leads the NFL 60 completions over 20-plus yards. Those are Brady and Mahomes throws. No dink and dunk here. 70% completion rate. 26 TDs, 3 picks in the red zone. He's the league's most efficient quarterback now. And in the second half of the last 7 games, 1,000 yards and a passer rating of 114.
So that was Colin Cowherd's take on Sam Darnold. Interesting enough, he's been a Sam Darnold supporter from day one. Now let me get to my take. Listen, as a Vikings fan, as a longtime Vikings fan since 94, gosh, it's been 30 years since I've been a Viking fan. It's been 30 years since I've been a Viking fan. And I've seen it all. Missed field goals, bad plays, horrible coaching, bad quarterbacks. I've seen it all. And when the Vikings decided that Kirk Cousins wasn't coming back, I wasn't disappointed at all. Nothing personal towards Kirk, but I just didn't feel he was the guy that was going to win. And then when Sam Darnold came into the fold, they announced he was going to be signed. I was like, oh boy. I guess they're going through a transition between him and J.J. McCarthy, which on top of that, I did not like the J.J. McCarthy pick. I'm not a fan of him. I just don't see the intangibles in him that could translate into winning as an NFL quarterback. I mean, in college is a whole different setting, whole different set of rules, different schemes, different set of everything. So the transition from college to the NFL is usually not as what you expect. But at this moment, at this current moment, Sam Darnold is 14-2. 35 touchdowns, 12 picks, 4,153 yards. 68% completion. Before this season, his best season before that was in 2019, where he had 19 touchdowns, 13 picks, 62% completion, and threw for 3,024 yards. That was 2019. That was his best season up to date until this current one. His best game in the NFL came on November 17, 2019 against the Redskins, where he threw 4 touchdowns to 1 pick, had a 121.2 completion, was 19 for 30 for 293. So the potential was shown. And if you go back to that game, you watched the clips, and I did, you could see the potential with Sam. You could see it. But when the Vikings signed him, I know the situation in Carolina. Carolina is a mess. Carolina is a botch. All they do is botch, and disrespect people. That's a whole different conversation. They had him and Baker at the same time. They let them both go, respectively. Both of them are doing phenomenal this year. Shout out to both of them. I didn't think Sam was going to do it. Still a long way to go. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, this and that. Still got a game Sunday night in Detroit for the division and a bye. Still got playoff games, whether you're going to play 3 or you're going to play 1. Sorry, not 1. Whether you're going to play 4 games or 3 games. You still got playoff games, no matter who wins that game. Detroit's got home field. Detroit just smacked the crap out of the 49ers and put them to rest. And I'll get to that in a few seconds. But Sam Darnold is having a phenomenal year, and I had no way of believing this would happen. And I still don't. The only way I'm really going to say, you know what, this guy is actually gotten better is if they get to the NFC Championship game. I've been told by a brethren of mine, Kevin O'Connell. Trust me, he's legit. And this is a guy who's very critical on coaches. He says Kevin O'Connell's legit. And like I said, he's the master motivator. He is, and so far he's proven it. He rejuvenated Kirk Cousins after that mess with Mike Zimmer. He's done a good job with, Josh Dobbs, although Josh Dobbs couldn't really get his feet wet in the system. I mean, he had other quarterbacks, I won't name them, the backups last year when Kirk got hurt. I won't name them. They don't deserve any mention. But Sam has come in and done a good job, a very good job. And a lot of people are arguing, how come he's not in the MVP conversation with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson? But my question is, how come this guy is not in the MVP conversation? He has 39 touchdowns, 15 picks, 71% completion, 42.79, 4,279 yards, which I think leads the NFL at this moment. Baker Mayfield. Why is Baker Mayfield not in the MVP conversation with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, along with Sam? Sam Darnold's not in the conversation. This goes back to what I've been saying from day one. The media picks and chooses who they want. That's who, and that's pathetic. It's so obvious. And the greatest thing about social media is not just the people that actually use social media to inspire, but the information that you can get. Because 10 years ago, we would not go online. We have to wait for sportscasters or wait for a newspaper. You can go online 2 clicks away and you could see statistics, breakdowns, game by game, play by play, quarter by quarter. And right now, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold are probably right there with Lamar Jackson. Now, a few weeks ago, I had Josh Allen as the MVP, but I'll look at it like this, and I'll say this straight up. I think it's a 4-man race. If Baker Mayfield could finish off the season the way he is and Sam Darnold, they have to be considered the front runners. Call me crazy. That's fine. That's your opinion. This is my podcast, and I like to be as fair as anybody could be. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a social media guy. I'm not a mark. I say things exactly for the way that they're shown. And right now, the statistics show that Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold are playing just as well as Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and that's it. Now, to Brock Purdy. So far this year, and he's going to miss the last game of the year because of that injury last night. 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 3,864 yards. He's close to 4,000. 65%, say 66% completion. Brock Purdy, a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's got 1 year on his contract. I wouldn't pay him all this. And can we not go back and look at the fact that he was the last pick in the draft? That's how you guys all viewed him. Every other team passed him over 250 times in the draft. I think there's a total of an average of 252 picks per NFL draft. If I'm correct, if I'm wrong, please somebody correct me. So he was passed 250 plus times before he got picked. So now you got sports analyst Mark saying, oh, well, I wouldn't give him an extension because he's not that good. Nobody expected him to be that good. But what I am impressed with is that he's played his ass off and he's trying. There are guys that had it all given to them in their plate right there with everything, all the trimmings, and did nothing. Didn't work on their game, didn't work on anything. Some guys were not ready for the NFL game. Brock Purdy was ready. He had some help from Kyle Shanahan and others, and he put himself in the right position to be ready for the season. He's been ready since he's been the starting quarterback for the 49ers. He's been ready. I'm not going to sit here and shit on him. He's played very well to the standards of what the expectations are of him. He's Mr. Irrelevant, as they say, as the last pick in the draft. There's probably over 180 guys that were drafted ahead of him and are no longer in the NFL. Facts. So, about not giving him an extension, not doing this, of course. I mean, I could see at the end of this season, maybe at the end of next year, San Francisco works something out unless they draft another quarterback. But let's look at it. They drafted Trey Lance. How did that go? They had Jimmy Garoppolo. How did that go? Sam Darnold was the backup to him. They let him walk. And do I need to continue? And the coach had Matt Ryan in a 28-3 lead, and we know what happened there. So we got to stop this. And on top of that, next year, the San Francisco 49ers have a very relatively easy schedule. But there's no such thing as easy. And I got to say this. People coming out and saying, oh, the schedule is easy or it's a strength of schedule. There's no such thing as strength of schedules. I mean, there are some teams that just absolutely are just not good. But on any given day, things could happen in the NFL. So don't look at the schedule as easy. Look at it as games that you got to play and you got to try to win every single one. So that's all I got to say on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's another quick take. Wherever you are in the world, if you're celebrating New Year's, Kwanzaa, wherever you're doing, whether it's morning, afternoon, mid-evening, night, whatever, have a good night. Peace.